Marcel,
Yeah.
is Kevin Durant more gifted than Michael Jordan?
Yes, he is. And this shouldn't be an argument that makes people giggle like Acho, but it will. And I don't want to go too deep into the water, at least until y'all force me to. I want to keep this simple. Let's stay in the shallow end, on the shelf, as they say, with these new pools. You see about 6 inches deep for the little kids like I have. Here's one reason why I know Kevin Durant is more gifted than Michael Jordan. Because we've never seen another Kevin Durant. But we have seen a facsimile carbon copy of Michael Jordan 2.0. There's a long list of guys we try to compare him to, but there was one that actually stuck out and almost made it. Kobe Bryant, rest in peace. Let that settle. Here's another reason why I know that Kevin Durant is more gifted than Michael Jordan. Because there has never been the Durant rules. There have never, ever been, ever stated there are Durant rules. Let me tell you what the Jordan rules are. People always say, well, beat him up when he's in the air, beat him up when he's going to the rim. Y'all don't understand from a defender's position and mindset what that really is saying. That's saying, one, we know where he's going to go or where he has to go. So that means Jordan's coming into the paint. Jordan's going to the hoop. Jordan's going to the rim. So we're going to beat him up. But it also suggests that Jordan doesn't want to stay outside. He doesn't want to be that pure shooter. Yeah, he got a J. Yeah, he worked on it. Yeah, he continued to become more efficient with his jump shot. But that ain't his sweet spot. Now, let's juxtapose that to Kevin Durant. There are no Durant rules. You know why? No matter where you put his skinny 6'11" self, he is in his sweet spot. Think about it. People saw at the draft and said he can't even bench press himself in his weight. He can't even do push-ups. Put Kevin Durant on the block and see what happens to you. One, you can't even block his shot. But two, if you have a P.J. Tucker or someone who can push him out of the paint, all you're doing is pushing him out to a sweeter spot. So I've seen it before. Kevin Durant is not ever been replicated and will never be duplicated. I shouldn't say never because my son is 5 years old, and if he don't put on football weight, he might have a chance. But outside of that, we've seen versions of Jordan. We have never and probably never will see another Durant.
Well, first, Sel, I like your argument. A few fallacies in there, but I will get to them later. No, Kevin Durant does not have a chance of being compared as a sense of physical gifts to Michael Jordan. Kevin Durant and Michael Jordan, when it comes to being gifted, should not be mentioned in the same sentence. Here is why. If Steve Kerr would have said, as physically gifted, I would have said, bet. I can concede to that. But when you talk about gifts, it's not just the physical. You also have to talk about the mental. We've recently been confronted in society with realizing our mind should be taken just as seriously as our bodies across multiple fields, both positively and negatively. So coming to that recent realization, we should also come to the realization when talking about an athlete being gifted, you can't just talk about them being physically gifted when you use the word gifted unless you specify. Michael Jordan was a 10-time scoring champ. Kevin Durant, a 4-time scoring champ. Michael Jordan was a 9-time all-defensive team. Kevin Durant, no times all-defensive teams. Michael Jordan, 5 times regular season NBA MVP. Kevin Durant, 1-time NBA regular season MVP. I just brought up all statistics that are relatively individual statistics. Defensive players, regular season MVPs, and scoring champs. You don't need a bunch of help and a bunch of teammates to accomplish that. So if Kevin Durant were as gifted physically and mentally as Michael Jordan, Kevin Durant would have as much to show individually as Michael Jordan. And Kevin Durant does not have nearly as much to show individually as Michael Jordan. I'm not talking about the collection. I'm not talking about finals MVPs because you need a Scott Paxson, you need a Steve Kerr, you need a Steph Curry, you need a Klay Thompson. I'm simply talking about individual accolades, and his gifts would match his individual accomplishments.
So I'm going to try to navigate my way through these two takes because I like both of them, but I want to add something in addition. Acho, I am on your side of the equation. From a physical standpoint, yes, absolutely. You would say Kevin Durant is more gifted. If you're 6'10", 6'11", 240 pounds, you have his speed and agility compared to somebody who is 6'6" and 200 pounds, which is what Michael Jordan was listed as, then of course you're going to have in a game you're going to have an advantage at the game of basketball. But it does include the mental aspect of it. And to suggest that Kevin Durant has a physical advantage and yet has not accomplished what Michael Jordan has would suggest that he has failed. And I would never say that Kevin Durant has failed or underachieved as a basketball player. There's a third element here. Marcellus, you mentioned the physical. Acho, you mentioned the mental, but there's also environment, which I consider as part of the gift. And the only way I could bring up a full screen in this is if I brought out the philosophers, Aristotle and Plato and all of that, in terms of how we become who we are. But ultimately, I look at Kevin Durant's, who he was coached by, who he played with, the systems that he's been in, how he grew up. Michael Jordan was gifted with the perfect environment to become who he is, the opportunity to go to North Carolina, to play at a time in the game in which he had to reinvent himself and how he played. Marcellus, the big pushback I have for you is to suggest that Michael Jordan went to the Cup because he had no other option. His mid-range was as good as anybody's in the game, and the three-point shot was not part of the game as it is today. The fundamentals of Michael Jordan and the way he developed himself, not just physically, but in terms of skill and fundamentals and the mental aspect, suggests that he was ready to answer and address any challenge that he faced. The decisions that Kevin Durant has made that have held him back is not how he plays. It's where he plays and who he plays with and what he's ultimately searching for. And that, to me, is a byproduct of environment. And that's where Kevin Durant has not been as gifted as Michael Jordan.
Look, I don't want to get so competitive up here because I am competitive that I'm going to push back and do it with some animus. Let me just say this, that the comparison right here, I don't want to steal from Michael Jordan to prop up Kevin Durant. And as we all know, comparison is the thief of joy. However, Michael Jordan was not the shooter Kevin Durant was or is. We just know that for a fact. Matter of fact, Michael Jordan started off as a better shooter rookie year, earlier years, before even championship years, and started to decline slowly but steadily, watch the numbers, when he started to win those chips. In part where we saw in The Last Dance, where Phil Jackson was saying, you got to buy in more to the team, a little less of you and a little more of them. But y'all go figure that out as you dive into the numbers like I did. Here's another thing. Let me just start throwing some little ninja stars.
Good luck.
Playing against better competition, stiffer competition right now. I know I'm going to hear some pushback because they were tougher back then, but they weren't more gifted. So that's advantage Kevin Durant. Not a lot of Craig Elos and Brian Russells running around right now. Those guys are 8th, 9th men on the bench, maybe if that. So let's just go there. You know who Kevin Durant is? Let's be real. He's Kyrie Irving handles Steph's jumpers stretched out. He's a stretched out 6'11" Steph Curry that plays defense. The hell are we talking about? This dude is such a rarity. I'm going to give it to you like this in example, personalized form. I went to a Lakers pregame. Yeah, don't ask me why, because they gave me free tickets. That's why, damn it. All right, so I'm in there pregame Lakers. Acho knows how our pregame looks in the NFL locker room. Our locker room pregame is a little different. It's a little more frantic, a little crazier, violent, everything. Go to NBA one, these dudes are a little more relaxed, chilling. But they still have the same whiteboard we have, Acho. On their whiteboard, they have percentages and sour spots, as they call them, where you need to push the offensive player so he's in a bad position, somewhere he doesn't want to shoot. Now, I'm just here to tell you guys, every single player that has ever existed has had a sour spot, including Steph Curry. Steph Curry's a magician in the paint, but that's still his sour spot. Except Kevin Durant. Where in the hell you gonna push Kevin Durant and all of a sudden you feel you have the advantage defensively? Not a single place. These are the gifts that Steve Kerr is talking about. Acho, don't come up to me with no voting awards and what the voters thought about Michael Jordan. Here's some statistics that shows that Kevin Durant is better than Michael Jordan. Y'all ready for this? KD has averaged more rebounds, more double-doubles, higher plus-minus, and shot a higher percentage from the free throw line and three-point line than Michael Jordan. I'm going to throw the three-point line out because that wasn't the error. Point is, don't act like one-on-one individual accomplishment, individual stats that KD can't hold Michael Jordan down.
So he just said that the taller guy who has about a foot longer reach got more rebounds.
Yep.
That's the take?
What about higher,
That's the take.
What about higher plus-minus?
What?
Higher plus minus.
Slick.
Yeah, y'all got quiet on that plus minus.
And first off, we can't throw out every accolade MJ has won to try to level out the argument. Let's throw out his 9 defensive all-NBA teams. Let's throw out his 5 regular season MVPs. Let's throw out his 10 scoring titles, which aren't voting-based. Let's throw those out, scoring titles.
Oh, okay, scoring
Let's throw out a scoring title.
I mean, who wants them after a while? You got your 4th one, KD's like, I'm good.
Here's what it comes down to, Sal. Strictly physical gifts, you got an argument.
You mean, no.
Strictly
we're not doing TV now.
Gifts.
Stop that. Put us
on the camera.
Kevin
Put us on the
is
camera.
more gifted and suited for the Tetris of basketball. He fits perfectly into the basketball world, purer than Michael Jordan.
No.
We've seen multiple Michael Jordans in physical gifts.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem. We got a bunch of cats. I don't know about you, Slick, but me and Sal talked about this countless times. Bunch of cats we grew up with that were more physically gifted than Marcellus or myself. But Sal and I both made it to the NFL.
That's real.
Because when you talk about gifts, you don't just talk about physical gifts. If they were as overall gifted, they would have made it as far as we made it, barring any health issues. But we had mental decisions. Yeah. Decisions factor in the mental
decisions to get there. Steve Kerr, why are you arguing with me and Steve Kerr the one that set this off?
Slick, you do.
Yeah, he his teammate. And Steve Kerr can't go to bat for Michael Jordan. Why the hell you doing it with a flat top?
Jordan punched Steve Kerr, okay? Probably some residual beef.
Good point. Good point.
Yeah, no, and I honestly, I feel as if in some way Steve Kerr is addressing Scottie Pippen and his knocks on Kevin Durant. So Steve Kerr feels the need to kind of balance that out and say, hey, look, you're underserving who Kevin Durant is. That's where I think Steve Kerr is coming from. But that said, Marcellus, I'm sorry, but I can't take any of those individual statistics as proof that Kevin Durant is more accomplished or more skilled or better than Michael Jordan simply because the games in which they played were so dramatically different.
Yeah,
the possessions, the shooting, the offense, everything is inflated today. And Kevin Durant, I dare say, when he played in Jordan's era, could not have played unless he had added 20, 30 pounds of muscle to play a more physical game. Yes, in today's game, you can rise up over P.J. Tucker because P.J. Tucker can't touch you. He can't get into you in the way that he could have back in the day. Michael Jordan not only played an up-tempo game, which is why when you looked at his numbers early on and said he was a better scorer early on, it wasn't because he couldn't shoot better later that he didn't become a better, more efficient shooter. It's because he played in a different style with those early Bulls teams than he did when they played in the triangle. So ultimately, I look at everything that has transpired. I can't just look at the physical gifts. Physical gifts, Kevin Durant was given far more than Michael Jordan, without question. But Michael Jordan's mental makeup, the coaching that he received, the system that he was fortunate enough to be in at that time, to run across a Phil Jackson, to partner with a Scottie Pippen, and to realize I don't need to go anywhere else, let me make it here. To me, those are gifts as well, because they are beyond the control of Michael Jordan. They were just handed to him, and it was a matter of what he was going to do with them in very much the same way that Kevin Durant was handed being 6'10", 6'11", having a jump shot, and then going to the Golden State Warriors, having the opportunity, thanks to that salary cap bump, and being able to play with the Golden State Warriors, and Kevin Durant said, nah, what else we got here? That was his choice, and that was him looking his gifts in the face. So I'm sorry. I cannot say that KD
we can reset this block. You said handed a jump shot? Well, my son is 5 years old right now at a skills academy trying to learn a jump shot. You ain't handed jack in the game of basketball. Well,
no.
I wish.
But there are
skills
some
academy money.
Yeah, he's spending that dough. He better turn it into something or I'm going to get my money
He's
back
also
out
got the custom pool money.
But here we go. Hey, hold on. Hand me Phil Jackson for most of my career if I'm Kevin Durant. See how I turn out. Boy, all these excuses and reasons. Y'all sound like Earth, Wind, and Fire up here. Reasons, all this junk. The era's inflated. I give a damn. You know what's also inflated? The talent and the gifts of others that he has to compete against. Ain't nobody got second jobs and working in the off season nowadays. These dudes are prime for it.
Here we we go again.
I know
Nobody
how to
was
stick
doing
some
that in
old people.
Jordan's era either.
Let's get up out of here because I got a lot more ammo.